I still remember my first day at a new primary school. New city, new building, a hallway that smelled like nothing I recognized, floor tiles I'd never walked on before. I didn't know a single person, not one face I could nod at, not one name I could lean on if things got awkward. And what I remember most isn't the fear of the teacher or the fear of getting lost between classrooms, or even the fear of not understanding the lesson. What I remember is standing at the edge of the playground, looking down at my own shoes. Are these the right shoes? Is this haircut wrong? Is this jacket the kind of jacket that gets you laughed at? I hadn't said a single word to anyone yet, and I had already put myself on trial. I was building an entire courtroom in my head, with a jury made of kids I hadn't even met, deciding whether I was acceptable before a single one of them had formed an opinion about me. I remember scanning the other kids' shoes to compare mine. I remember tugging my sleeve down because I suddenly decided my jacket looked cheap. I remember rehearsing, in my head, what I'd say if someone asked me a question, editing and re-editing a sentence that no one had asked me to say yet. Looking back, it's almost funny. Nobody in that playground was studying my shoes. Most of them were worried about their own. But at the time, it felt like the most important thing in the world. Because in my head, I had already decided the verdict mattered more than anything else that day. More than the lesson, more than the teacher's name, more than anything real that was actually happening around me. That's what we're going to talk about. Judgment. Not so much the judgment other people actually hand out, though we'll get there, but the judgment we assume we're receiving, and the judgment we hand ourselves, often without even noticing we're doing it. Because most of the time, it's the same thing wearing two different masks, and it's usually the thing that hurts us the most. There's an idea that runs through a lot of ancient philosophy. The idea is that it's not the things that happen to us that disturb us, it's the opinion we form about them. On the surface, that sounds almost dismissive, like someone telling you, it's all in your head, stop overreacting. But it's more useful than that, once you actually sit with it. Take something simple. You find out someone close to you lied to you, or went behind your back. Your first reaction is anger, maybe even rage, maybe the urge to break something. And that reaction doesn't come purely from what they did. It comes from the gap between what you expected from them and what they actually did. The higher the expectation, the harder the fall. It's the same mechanism as buying a lottery ticket. You lose, and it barely registers, because deep down, you already knew the odds were terrible. You never built your future on that ticket. You shrug, maybe buy a coffee with the $2 you didn't spend, and move on with your day. But when someone you trusted completely lets you down, it hits you like a wall, not because the disappointment itself is objectively bigger, but because the expectation behind it was so much higher. You had built something on it, a version of your future, a sense of who you could count on. And once you see that, it changes everything. Because it means the thing that's actually hurting you isn't really the other person, it's the contract you signed with yourself in your own head without ever telling them the terms, without ever asking if they were willing to sign it too. Think about how often this plays out in ordinary life, in ways too small to even notice. A friend doesn't text back for 2 days and you decide they're pulling away. A coworker doesn't say good morning and you decide they're annoyed with you. None of that is a fact. It's a contract you drafted alone, in the privacy of your own head, and then quietly filed a lawsuit over when the other party, who never even saw the paperwork, failed to comply. Or think about waiting for feedback on something you worked hard on. A project at work, an application, a piece of writing. In the silence before the answer comes back, most people don't sit calmly. They run simulations. They imagine the harshest possible version of the response, rehearse how they'll react to it, brace for a verdict that hasn't been written yet. And when the actual answer arrives, it's almost always more boring, more neutral, more human than the version they spent 3 sleepless nights defending against. The waiting room built by your own head is nearly always worse than the room you actually walk into. We tend to believe that the people we trust shouldn't be capable of letting us down, that if we love someone, they owe us some kind of perfection. So every time someone close to us acts like a human being, with an ego, with flaws, with a bad day, with a moment of weakness, we take it as a personal betrayal. But we're the ones who built that expectation. No one ever guaranteed us that the person standing in front of us was flawless. We just quietly decided it, on our own, and now we resent them for breaking a promise they never actually made. The problem was never that people are disappointing. The problem is that we expect them never to be. And this isn't some cynical, give up on people kind of lesson. It's actually the opposite. It's saying, stop judging reality by the standard of what you wish it were. Look at it for what it actually is. People carry egos, self-interest, bad days, blind spots. That's not a glitch in the system. That's the default setting. And the day you actually accept that, not just intellectually, but for real, you stop feeling betrayed by reality itself. There's an old piece of advice that goes something like this. Start your day by reminding yourself you're going to run into someone rude, someone dishonest, someone selfish, someone who lets you down. Not because everyone is like that, not because humanity is rotten, but because those things exist, and pretending they don't is what sets you up to be blindsided by them. That's not pessimism. That's just preparation. The person who expects rain doesn't get angry at the sky when it rains. They just bring an umbrella. The person who's convinced the sky owes them sunshine is the one who ends up soaked and furious, blaming the weather for doing what weather does. Think back to that playground, or your own version of it. Maybe it wasn't a new school. Maybe it was walking into a new job on your first day, sitting alone in a cafeteria you didn't know the rules of yet. Maybe it was a new gym, where everyone already seemed to know exactly which machine to use and exactly how much weight to load, while you stood there pretending to check your phone so nobody would notice you didn't know where to start. That feeling of being watched, dissected, silently ranked. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of the other kids in that playground were thinking about their own shoes, their own haircut, whatever awkward thing they said 5 minutes earlier. Nobody was running the kind of detailed analysis on you that you were running on yourself. The judgment that terrified you was, almost entirely, something you manufactured yourself. You put yourself in other people's shoes, imagined what they must be thinking, and then suffered from that imaginary verdict, exactly as if it were real. That's the irony of it. A judgment that doesn't exist can still hurt you, as long as you're the one keeping it alive. And this doesn't stop when you grow up. It just changes shape. You hesitate to post something, to say what you actually think, to change careers, to walk into a room alone, because you're preemptively flinching from a look that maybe nobody was ever going to give you. You're punishing yourself in advance for a trial that was never actually opened. Think about the last time you sent a message and immediately regretted the wording. You replayed it 15 times. You imagined the other person reading it with narrowed eyes, judging your tone, deciding something about your character based on one sentence. And most of the time, they read it once, in half a second, while doing 3 other things, and moved on with their day without a second thought. The trial you were so afraid of happened entirely offline, in a courtroom with exactly one attendee, you. Or think about walking into a party where you don't know anyone. You spend the first 20 minutes convinced everyone is silently cataloging your every move, your drink choice, the way you're standing. But if you actually looked around, you'd notice something strange. Almost everyone else in the room is doing exactly the same thing you are, quietly managing their own anxiety, wondering if they look out of place, checking their phone for the same reason you're checking yours. The room isn't full of judges. It's full of defendants, all convinced they're the only one on trial. And if we're being honest, the largest amount of judgment you've ever received in your life didn't come from other people. It came from you. You're the one replaying that awkward sentence you said 3 years ago at 2 in the morning. You're the one calling yourself a fraud before you've even tried. You're the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury in your own private courtroom. And you're also the one handing down the harshest sentence every single time. Other people forget you far faster than you think. The classmate whose opinion you were terrified of at 7 years old almost certainly can't even remember your first name today. Your brain kept the file open for 2 decades. Theirs got deleted by lunchtime. Other people forget you far faster than you think. You never forget yourself. So the real question isn't, why do people judge me? It's, why do I keep handing this much power, my own judgment, or the judgment I imagine other people are making, over what I actually do with my life? That question is uncomfortable, because it removes the excuse. It's easier to blame an audience that's judging you than to admit you're the one keeping yourself frozen. But it's also freeing once you actually let it land, because it means the thing standing between you and doing the thing you're scared of isn't a stadium full of critics. It's one voice, yours. And that voice, unlike an actual audience, you can learn to talk back to. There's a simple distinction that can change almost everything. There's what depends on you and what doesn't. What people think of you, that doesn't depend on you. You can influence it, but you can't control it. What you actually do, how honestly, how carefully, how consistently, that depends entirely on you. Suffering starts the moment you confuse the two. The moment you start basing your worth on something you were never in control of in the first place. And a kind of quiet calm starts the moment you stop demanding that reality, or other people, bend to whatever verdict you were hoping for. This doesn't mean becoming numb to everything, or pretending you don't care what anyone thinks. That would be its own kind of lie. It means putting your energy where it actually belongs, not into managing a trial that mostly exists in your head. Think about the last idea you sat on. Maybe it was a video you didn't post because you imagined the comment section already, word for word, before a single person had watched it. Maybe it was a business idea you never pitched because you could hear, in advance, the specific tone of voice someone would use to shoot it down. Maybe it was a message you drafted, deleted, drafted again, deleted again, because you kept simulating every possible way it could be misread. Notice what's happening there. You're not reacting to real feedback. There's no feedback yet. You're prepaying a tax on criticism that hasn't been assessed, to an audience that hasn't shown up, for a product that doesn't exist yet. And the wildest part is that this imaginary tax is often harsher than anything a real audience would actually say. Real people, it turns out, are usually too busy with their own lives to build the kind of elaborate, personalized takedown you've already written in your head on their behalf. This is, I think, the most expensive version of the phantom courtroom. It's not the embarrassment you feel after something goes wrong. It's the thing you never let exist in the first place because you convicted it before it was even born. And the frustrating thing is, you can usually tell the difference, if you're honest with yourself, between real caution, the kind that makes you double-check your work, that makes you actually good at what you do, and this other thing, which isn't caution at all, it's just fear wearing caution's clothes. Real caution asks, is this good? The phantom jury asks, will they laugh at me? Those are not the same question, even though they can feel identical in the moment. I never told you how that first day at the new school actually ended. At some point, standing there half convinced everyone was silently rating my shoes, another kid walked up and asked if I wanted to play. Not because my jacket passed some invisible inspection, not because my haircut cleared a bar I'd invented in my head. He asked because he needed one more person for whatever game they were playing, and I happened to be standing there. That's it. That's the whole verdict I'd spent the entire morning bracing for. Nobody had convened. Nobody had deliberated. The trial I'd been dreading simply never took place because there had never been a courtroom to begin with. Just a kid looking for someone to play with, and me, standing there fully armored against an attack that was never coming. I think about that a lot now, whenever I catch myself doing the same thing as an adult, bracing for a verdict before anyone's even looked in my direction. Most of the time, the actual moment turns out to be almost boringly ordinary. People say hello, they ask a question, they move on with their day. The catastrophe was never in the room. It was only ever in the waiting room in my head, the one I built myself, furnished with imaginary jurors, and sat in alone. Because here's the thing. Nobody tells you when you're standing at the edge of that playground, staring at your shoes, the version of you that's terrified of being judged, and the version of you that eventually walks over and says hi to a stranger anyway, that's the same person. The only thing that changed is which voice you decided to listen to. Most of us spend years building elaborate defenses against a jury that was never seated. We rehearse justifications for accusations nobody made. We soften our opinions, delay our decisions, shrink our ambitions, all in service of a verdict that, if you actually went looking for it, you'd struggle to find anyone who remembers giving. And the cost of that isn't abstract. It's the message you didn't send, the idea you didn't pitch, the version of yourself you didn't let anyone see, because you were too busy defending a version of yourself against critics who, it turns out, were never in the room. Try this the next time you feel that familiar tightening in your chest before doing something that scares you. Posting the thing, saying the thing, showing up somewhere new, walking across a playground you don't recognize. Ask yourself plainly, who exactly is judging me right now? Not in the abstract. Name them. A specific person, with a specific face, actually thinking a specific thought about you, right now, in this exact moment. Most of the time, you won't be able to. Because the courtroom is empty. It always was. There's a reason this feels heavier today than it did a generation ago. And it's not that people got meaner. It's that the playground got bigger and never closes. When I was standing there worrying about my shoes, the jury was maybe 30 kids for a couple of hours until the bell rang and everyone moved on. Today, the equivalent moment, posting something, saying something publicly, showing up as yourself online, comes with an audience that's theoretically infinite, permanently open, and keeps a record. The bell never rings. The courtroom never adjourns for the day. So we've built tools to manage that. We soften our opinions before we post them. We run our thoughts through a mental filter of, how many ways could this be screenshotted and used against me, before we've even finished forming the thought. We watch engagement numbers the way I used to scan the playground for reactions to my shoes. Except now, there's an actual number attached, which makes the whole thing feel more real, more objective, more like proof, even though it almost never is. But the mechanism underneath is identical to the one on that playground. Most of the people scrolling past your post are not building a case file on you. They're checking their own numbers. They're thinking about their own morning. They glance, they move on, exactly like the kids who were thinking about their own shoes instead of yours. The scale changed. The math didn't. That doesn't mean none of it is real. Sometimes people do say something, and it does sting, and pretending otherwise would just be a different kind of denial. But it does mean the background hum of dread you feel before hitting post, the one that convinces you an entire invisible tribunal is about to convene the second you do. That part is almost always fiction. You're not being watched nearly as closely as it feels like you are. You're just the only person who never stops watching yourself. So the next time you feel that shame creeping up, or that fear of being watched holding you back, just ask yourself, is this judgment actually coming from somewhere out there? Or is it you,